Welcome to Stillness and Success. I'm your host, Mustafa Nuristani. And today I've got a very interesting guest. She was an entrepreneur at the age of 21, creating hand-printed screen T-shirts, which she'll explain to us in a minute, because I've just found out about it and I'm completely blown away by what this whole process involved. And then she went on to become a sustainable interior designer. And today she is one of the forces that is highly sought after in Australia. And it's my great joy to welcome her to the program. So, Eve France, welcome.
Thanks, Mustafa. Thanks for having me.
It's great to be here with you and to get to know more about you. And you said just before this that at 21, you started your own business. And at 21, usually people are thinking about prop crawls and what am I going to do? And you had your own business. So tell me about that. How did that come about?
Yeah. So I had both my parents had their own businesses. So obviously a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit in the family. And I was doing a textile and design course at university, and I really loved the screen printing aspect of it. It was very hands-on. And so we were doing a project, and part of that was to create a product that we could actually sell. So we were getting taught these business skills quite early in the piece. And I did these screen printed T-shirts. And I really loved it because screen printing, it's not like digital printing that is, very prevalent now, but, you have a screen. It's almost like a photographic process where you expose an image onto the screen and then you put it down and you pull the ink through it. So it's quite an immersive experience. And I found I'd kind of make every T-shirt a little bit different. So I'd move the screen and I'd pull ink in different ways. And so every T-shirt I created was unique. And I loved it. It was very fluid and very fun and in the moment. And then, I started contacting stores around Australia. Like, I won a competition at uni for them. And I was like, well, maybe I'll sell them. And and then I had like 15 stores. It was a time where screen printing was quite in fashion, and also having that kind of unique design people were really interested in. So, I had 15 stores, and, at 21 it was a lot. And I was still partying and having fun as well. But it was a big responsibility, and at one point I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this is a lot for a 21-year-old, and I really wanted to go see the world. So
beautiful. So you did have the whole, when everything just collapses and you're like, where am I going? What am I doing? Even though you have a thriving business and you're creating beautiful pieces of art, I imagine, creating hand-printed T-shirts. I remember going to some stores and they had some really beautiful,
unique
designs. I wonder if they were yours.
No. Maybe.
Yes. And do you still have some of your T-shirts that you wear?
Well, I gave a lot. It's quite funny. They re-emerge, like friends will find them when they move house or something. That they take photos like, I've still got your tops. And but I sort of let a lot of it go and moved on. I went and travelled for a year.
So where did you go? What was travelling like?
So I went to Edinburgh for 4 or 5 months and worked there. We had 2 other friends. The 3 of us left Melbourne and we went to Edinburgh, which is just the most divine city.
And I love Edinburgh, but you tell me, why did you decide to go to Edinburgh?
Well, it's a university city. It is very creative. There's obviously like the huge arts festival there. It's very manageable and walkable, so you can get around most of the city, just walking.
But you knew all of that before going?
Oh, no, not really. My friends they left like 3 weeks before we went to London, and then they just said, look, we're actually just thinking of going to Edinburgh. We've just heard it's more fun. London's a pretty hard slog when you're, on a very modest budget.
It's true.
So they
I've lived in London. Yes.
Yeah, it's not easy. So so they were like, is that cool? And I was like, oh, I don't mind. So that's how we ended up there, and it was about 5 months. And then I I met another friend who came over from Melbourne, and she and I actually had a studio together. She's an amazing photographer. And, we travelled then for another 5 months, I think, through Spain and Italy, Croatia. And just, on a shoestring. We slept in cars. We slept on airport floors. Like, it really humbled us. We slept on trains, ferries. It was a pretty wild experience, which I would not let my daughter do that now. And actually, at one point, I think we were like, let's just not tell our parents about any of this until we get home alive. But yeah, that was pretty transformative. And I saw some just incredible interior spaces, like, the history and Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. I literally walked in and just cried. It's a Gaudi church that they're still renovating, and just the effect on me. It was a beautiful spiritual experience. I was like, I think I want to do interior design. So yeah.
That's where the seed of interior design was formed in your mind.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And when we do travel, and I've traveled most of my life, and from a young age, I always had this bug, I really want to travel. And I remember when I was 11 and I asked my mom, Mom, what can I do so I can travel the whole world? Really? And my poor mom, she was like, yes, great, son. You study hard and you'll be able to travel. And it's true, if you study hard and, get a nice job and then you have a good income, then you can travel. But I didn't want to do it like that. I really wanted to, I didn't know what I wanted, but I wanted to just travel. But then when the opportunity came, which we'll talk about another day, and I got to travel, it does change who you are. It broadens your perspective and it allows you to step outside this comfort zone that has been created for you by your parents who are supposed to create this environment of comfort and safety. And so you get out of that and you're pushing your boundaries. And then voila, you decide your whole life is going to be totally different because you're going to become an interior designer. So what were the next steps? How did you come back and act on that desire?
Yeah, so I came back and I applied for interior design at RMIT, which is probably one of the most...
So you're 22 now?
No, I was about 23
when
I started. Those courses are notoriously difficult to get into, and also they're very full on. A lot of people drop out after the first year. They're very, very, very intense. It's a 4-year degree, but I was ready for it. I've travelled, had some life experience. I was really dedicated and serious. So I absolutely loved that. I loved it way more. I wasn't a huge fan of school, but I absolutely loved that course. So I did that for 4 years, and then I came out and landed a job in a very big Melbourne architecture practice who were doing really amazing creative projects, museums in Tasmania. I got to work on a very famous one, and some really amazing residential projects. And yeah, it was pretty mind-blowing as a first job, and I just absolutely loved it.
Wow, that's incredible. And so you see, you weren't the same as the other students, though. That's the thing. For you, at 21, you already knew what it is like to run a business, and then you traveled, which completely transformed your perspective on life.
Yeah.
So when you came back to university, you really wanted to do this.
Exactly.
And that's the difference between finishing school and thinking, okay, I'm 17, I'm 18, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Because you don't know anything else. You've been to school your entire life, and then you're told you need to get a university degree so you can get a good job. And then you're like, what do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah.
But when you come back as a mature age student, which 23 now seems like so young.
Yeah. Technical term, but yeah, you are.
And then you go there, and because you have passion, you get so much more out of it.
Absolutely. And because in my first course, the mature age students were like, always did their homework. They were always on time. They were so dedicated. I used to look at them and be like, oh gosh, they're so good. And I was like
And
the
also
naughty one out of
thinking,
school.
what a teacher's pet. Like, come on. Like,
They were so dedicated. And then I
Yes.
became that in the next course.
My God, yes. So then, I had the similar experience with my first degree. I went on exchange, and then I did criminology, and I went to Bangkok, and then I stayed on, and I took another 6 months off, and I traveled in Singapore and Malaysia
Wow.
and Laos and like that. And when I came back, I was also considered a mature age student.
Yeah.
Because all of my classmates had graduated, and then I became friends with them. I mean, they were quite a bit older than me because I was maybe 22 and they were like 40.
Yeah.
But still, I really enjoyed being with the mature age students because they had more life experience and more passion for what they were doing, as opposed to I'm just doing this because, my parents told me, or it was the only option I had with my 8-hour score,
And how do you know at 17, 18, how do you know what you know? Some people are really lucky and they find their passion and their purpose early. I mean, that's still an ongoing journey for me. I'm still reinventing, myself constantly and working out what my true purpose is, which I've been really focused on the last few years. But yeah, how do you know that at 18? So I think travel is actually a really good thing to just get out of the comfort zone, go and explore for a bit before you make those big decisions.
Yeah, great. Let's have a cup of tea. I have more things to ask from you.
Yeah.
But this tea is sent to us by Maharishi Ayurveda.
Oh,
they are
hello.
very kind, sending us these delicious teas that are very balancing. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi brought Ayurveda to the West in the 70s. And that was because people were asking, what do I do to create more balance in my physiology? And so Maharishi Ayurveda came to existence then, and now Maharishi Ayurveda has done this beautiful thing. They've sent us this tea. Thank you so much. Let's see. It's my little fusion in this one.
Oh, it's delicious. So it's like
It is really good.
licorice or a sweetness to it. Beautiful.
So I have actually done, I don't know if this you're supposed to do, but I've mixed my two favorite teas, which is the Vata and the Pitta. So Pitta is cooling and Vata is calming. And I'm like, well, why don't we have both? We have a cooling, calming cup of tea.
Mustafa's blend. I love it.
Great. So now you are, high on your career path and working with the best firm. And then you got married, I imagine, because I know you have a child.
Yeah.
And so how did it all happen until now? Where are you now? So take me through the journey of, what that meant. Are you still with that firm? You're not with that firm? Did you move on?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Obviously, leading up to having my daughter, I started to really question what I was doing. I've been at least just over 10 years in the industry, and I was just sort of like, well, what is the next thing for me? I'd actually really interestingly had a lot of kind of epiphanies whilst, wandering around at 3 or 4 in the morning, having fed and burped and just like wandering around in a daze, looking out the sky. I was really starting to think, well, what does it look like now? Because it's a very intense job. I was getting up in boardrooms of, with 20 people presenting design concepts, very high pressure and stress. And I was like, I'm just not up for that right now with this baby. And what does that look like going back to work? So I really started to question it quite a lot. When I then was approached for a design management role, which was really interesting for Australian chocolate, quite high-end chocolate brand, and they were doing new stores. So it was kind of using my interior design, but also design management. So it was a bit of a pivot. So I decided to go down that path because the hours were better. It just felt less stress. And I started that job, and I realised going back to work after having a baby is just so intense. Like, even if it started 4 days a week, that was still a lot because you're getting the children, you're getting the baby to childcare, you're you've got to get ready, you got to look great, you got to present yourself. It was a new role with new people, with new responsibilities. Everything about it was new. It was just so much. And I realised I was just in complete reaction mode. So waking up, the baby wakes up, you just like, and the day's happening to you.
People don't talk about this, but having children is more than a full-time job. Because with a full-time job, you get a break. You know, during the day, you get a break. And then you finish work. And then you have time to go home and rest and have something nice, watch something beautiful, read something nice, and then go to sleep, you know? So you have that kind of a work-life balance, which everyone should have. But when you have a child, you are on a 24-hour clock.
Yeah.
And so you have broken sleep, and then you have to wake up at 2 a.m, and you can't be like, you know, can you just sleep? Because I need to sleep. You keep going. And then you're consistently, you know, constantly on this go, 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 go. And then you have to go to work.
Yeah, I know.
And then you have to be on at work. So we are expecting a lot from mothers. We really are. We want the population to grow, so we encourage people to have children. But then we also need them to work.
But also, I worked out basically half of my wage was going towards childcare.
Yes.
So I was going to work for half of that time, cost neutral, like it was basically there for fun. You know, like it doesn't work, does it?
It's important to have fun at work because you don't want to be doing it for free and not having fun.
Exactly. But like that's the other problem is, you know, you want to contribute to your household and your own career. You want to still have your foot in your own career.
Grow in that field.
And still be growing, but at the same time, it's not balanced enough that it doesn't financially make sense, which is a real shame. And hopefully that's something that's changing.
All of this, you know, compounding stress, then not having anything to deal with it, then something major happened at COVID. During COVID, it all just came to a complete crash.
Yeah. So, there was some difficulty in my marriage for a while. It obviously probably before my daughter was even born, there were some things that we were finding it really hard to resolve. But, you know, there was deep love there and it's always it's not easy, is it? It got to a point, you know, I was saying I was living this reaction mode with the baby and I was doing a lot. My husband at the time was running an architecture practice. He was very stressed. It was very high pressure. So he was in his own little bubble. I was in mine trying to juggle a lot. And I started this morning routine because I was like, I can't cope. So I got up half an hour before my daughter and I just took some time for myself. I started just doing like 10 minutes of meditation. I'd have a cup of tea outside on the roof with a blanket. I'd meditate and I might do like a little bit of gratitude or journaling or something. And that was like, I'm just going to set this up for 30 days. I'm going to see if this makes an improvement. And it was very profound. So I kept going. So I started meditating then. Unfortunately, was not able to resolve stuff with our marriage, and I made a decision in COVID lockdowns. I had to ask him to leave, and that was all, you know, as best as it could be. We juggled that as we could, but then obviously coming out of that, and it's obviously a very, very devastating event, I was finding it really hard to meditate because there was like a lot on my mind. There was a lot of stuff coming up. And I was reading some beautiful books by Gabby Bernstein. It's like The Universe Has Your Back. And I can't remember the other one, but I think I was reading her blog and she was talking about her morning routine, which I was always fascinated with all successful people's morning routines. And she said, yeah, I get up, I get my son breakfast, then I do TM. And I was like, what's TM? I was like, get on the computer. And so I started learning about Transcendental Meditation, and I was like, this sounds really interesting. And it said it had a mantra. And I was like, well, maybe that's going to help me actually just to settle more into that space. So I started.
So did you look for TM because your meditation practice was not working, or why were you, because you said you were meditating and you're doing some journaling. What brought you to looking for TM?
Yeah, so I was meditating, and I had actually been quite good at just sitting with myself for half an hour without any prompts, without any audio or anything guided. But the stress of that separation was bringing up actually a lot of emotion, not just related to the marriage, but probably emotion from the last 40 years of my life was coming up too. So I just, as you do, you find this information finds you, you find it at the right time. I was reading the blog, I was intrigued, I looked it up, and the mantra felt very appealing because it was something to kind of just rest on mentally, just
But you didn't know that.
focus.
You didn't know that. You just read about TM and you
so
said...
it said there was a mantra
Yes.
in that. And I was like, this is, And then I just literally was like, I'm going to do this. And then I called you. and that's how it all began. And it's been incredible. It's a superpower, it's a tool for life. And what it's done with my creativity and my intuition and being able to make really better choices for myself. For my work, it's been amazing. I'm faster. I make quicker decisions. I just intuitively feel more what my clients' needs are. Obviously it's been life-changing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And how long has it been now that you've been practicing Transcendental Meditation?
About 3.5 years.
Great. Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. And so you've stuck with it.
I have stuck with it. I've taken it. I've been doing retreats and, I definitely have my days and weeks where I'm not as consistent, but then I always go back to it.
You notice the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with my daughter as well, I guess what I found is that I was dealing more with emotion coming up because, as even through the divorce process, so that takes a long time, that's years. I was finding that emotion was coming up and I was releasing stuff easier. That I just don't get frustrated at her, I don't get angry at her because I'm not putting my stuff on her. She is a child. They want things, they want to do things their way. But at least I knew she could have her little moments, but it wasn't me putting my emotion onto her. So that was really motivating as well. It's like the better I am at balancing myself, the less reactive she'll be because they really read us. And I saw enough proof of it that was incredibly motivating to keep up with the meditation for her well-being as well.
Absolutely. It's so important because, when we are living stress, when we're giving stress, it affects our environment. And then the environment reciprocates. And, when you practice TM, you get such calm, deep rest in the body and the mind is so clear and you come out and your heart is expanding. And this, not many people talk about this, but the expansion of heart is such a main aspect of TM because when the mind is all calm and the body is rested, the heart spontaneously opens up.
Yeah.
And when we are, stressed and fatigued and running around, then the heart is all rigid and love is not there and compassion is not there. And people actually have told me that their body attacks them because this is, autoimmune disease where the body attacks because there's so much stress in the physiology. So what you're doing is so important for you and your daughter and also your work. You said you're making quicker decisions and life is much more spontaneous, which is what we want to live. We want to live a life that is filled with spontaneous action rather than thinking and deciding and umming and ahhing and then going back and then deciding a little more. No, it's just, for me, it was like that as well. I read about TM and I was like, and I read David Lynch talking about it.
Yeah.
And he said, the source of my creativity comes from TM. And I was like, what did he say? And I did my Googling as well. And I was thinking, if it's good enough for David Lynch, it's good enough for me, you know? And so I learned it in 2010 and I haven't missed a single session, you know? It's just been amazing. It's just been amazing. It's just so integrating and you're able to be present and enjoy your life. So anyway, thank you so much for coming. And, you know, your role as an intuitive interior designer, I'm sure that this has really helped you be more of that. Would you say that?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm sort of at the moment pivoting a bit more into a more one-on-one personalized service with clients who are going through big life transitions. So I actually come in, either they're moving house or a marriage is broken down or someone has passed, or coming in, helping them transition and start a new journey, a new chapter, and actually offering that kind of emotional support as well as the interior design services. And yeah, and I'm really loving that because I feel like that's actually giving back a lot more. And I've been through it myself. So I love the interior design, but this giving back and this helping aspect has been something that's really I've really loved in the last in the last few months. I've been doing more of that. So it's an interesting journey, and the meditation and me keeping my energy in a good place is really important to help my clients as well.
Yeah.
When they're needing that stability and support. So yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. So you're giving back through your services, huh? It's so nice.
Yeah.
To have, the last thing you want is someone coming and, being all, you're going through major change in your life, and then someone doesn't understand what you're going through and just, rips things apart and like that. But having that intuitive connection, which addresses the problem in a kind and loving way, and also recreates the space for them so they can enjoy their space.
Yeah, with their own. It's about their space. It's not about my ego creating an interior for me, which is quite prevalent in the industry. It's really, for me, it's about like recreating what their next stage looks like, but still keeping their memories, and it's all about them.
Beautiful.
And creating a space that really reflects them. And that's because I've been able to sort of transmute and change how I see my role as an interior designer, and really taking it more as a support role. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Talking about giving back, Maharishi Ayurveda has sent a little gift for you. This is a collection of the teas that they have sent for you. We want to thank Maharishi Ayurveda for their support.
Amazing.
This is for you.
Thank you.
And they've also, in the show notes, there is a special code for our listeners. You can go on their website and enter the code and get your special discount as well. So it's very beautiful. Thank you so much for being here.
It's been so nice to catch up.
Absolutely. I love always speaking with you, Eve. You're such an intelligent soul. It's really beautiful. And thank you for tuning in at this episode of Stillness and Success. I'm your host, Mustafa Nuristani. Until next time, have a great time.